I welcome you to this YouTube channel. Today, we are going to check out a poem by Pablo Neruda, and the title of the poem is Keeping Quiet. Keeping Quiet. And now we will count to 12 and we will all keep still. For once on the face of the earth, let's not speak in any language. Let's stop for 1 second and not move our arms so much. It would be an exotic moment. Without rush, without engines, we would all be together in a sudden strangeness. Fishermen in the cold sea would not harm whales, and the man gathering salt would not look at his hurt hands. Those who prepare green wars, wars with gas, wars with fire, victory with no survivors, would put on clean clothes and walk about with their brothers in the shade doing nothing. What I want should not be confused with total inactivity. Life is what it is about. I want no truck with death. If we were not so single minded about keeping our lives moving and for once could do nothing, perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. Perhaps the earth can teach us as when everything seems dead and later proves to be alive. Now I will count up to 12 and you keep quiet and I will go. So, as we see, now we will count to 12 and we will all keep still. So, the poet begins the poem with an urge, a request to keep still after he has completed counting till 12. Now, 12 might represent the number of months or the 12 hours of a clock. However, the question remains why? What is the reason for the stillness that the poet demands? The answer is introspection. The poet wants us to introspect. Introspection means looking inwards or looking inside oneself so that one gets an idea of what is right and what is wrong. Now, in order to introspect, we require silence, and for that, keeping quiet is essential. Hence, the title, Keeping Quiet. In other words, I can say that without silence, there cannot be any introspection. And that is why the title is very, very appropriate. Keeping quiet. For what? For the introspection to take place. Now, one more question comes as to why introspection? What can we achieve with introspection? Introspection will bring about a realization which will lead to peace, which will lead to love, amity, and universal brotherhood. So, let us continue this poem. And now, we will count to 12 and we will all keep still. For once on the face of the earth, let's not speak in any language. Let's stop for 1 second and not move our arms so much. So, as we had seen earlier, the poet begins by urging us or by urging everyone to keep still for some time. He says, for some time, we should not speak in any language. For once on the face of the earth, let's not speak in any language. Let us stop. Let us stop everything that we are doing. Let us forget our differences, linguistic identity, and let us all keep still. Let's stop for 1 second and not move our arms so much. Movement of the arms will also lead to distraction. It will distract. But as we know that the poet wants people to introspect, and that is why he wants to create that environment where introspection can take place, and that is why He asks everyone to be silent. There should be no disturbance, there should be no distraction of any kind. Everybody should stop doing whatever they are doing. And that moment, when everyone has stopped, that moment will be an exotic moment. It would be an exotic moment, a beautiful, a magnificent moment, a foreign moment, without rush, without engines. There would be no noise of any kind, no rush of any kind, and we'll all somehow feel connected to each other. Now, after everybody has stopped doing whatever they are doing and have introspected about what is right and what is wrong, they will realize. So we continue. Fishermen in the cold sea would not harm whales. Now, the fishermen will also understand those people, those fishermen who are killing whales for their selfish motive, spoiling the ecological balance, uh, uh, bringing some of the species to the brink of extinction. These people will also realize the harm that they are causing to nature by killing whales, so they will stop doing what they are doing. These fishermen, these hunters who are killing whales, they will also realize the impact that they are having on the environment and stop doing whatever they are doing. And the man gathering salt would look at his hurt hands. And those people, the man gathering salt here means those people who are working from dawn to dusk, from morning till night, will also get some time to relax and tend to their hurt hands, take care of the hurt hands. Those who prepare green wars, wars with gas, wars with fire, those people were engaged in war against the environment, that is green war. Those people who are engaged with wars with gas, wars with fire, nuclear, atomic bombs, these people will also realize the utter futility of their action. They will realize the uselessness of the victory, as there will be no survivors left to celebrate. So, even these people were waging war against the environment, were creating nuclear weapons and bombs. They will stop doing whatever they are doing. And it is all because of introspection, because they have introspected and realized what is right and what is not. All these people will stop doing whatever they are doing and will put on clean clothes and would walk about with their brothers in the shade doing nothing. They will stop doing whatever they are doing. And this will lead to universal brotherhood. This will lead to peace. This will lead to harmony. This will lead to happiness. So they will all put on clean clothes and walk about with their brother. Everybody, we are all brothers. Promoting universal brotherhood. This introspection will result in universal brotherhood. This introspection will result in peace. This introspection will result in happiness. What I want should not be confused with total inactivity. This is important. Remember? Now, he is asking us to be still, but this stillness should not be confused with permanent suspension of activity. What he is wanting us to do is to temporarily, I quote, temporary suspension of activity. Temporarily, we should suspend our activity. What I want should not be confused with total inactivity, because what is total inactivity? Total inactivity means death. When are we totally inactive? When we die. So he's not asking us to die. Life is what it is about. Life will go on. Life cannot be completely inactive. So what he is propagating is temporarily we should suspend all the activities that we are doing, which will enable us to introspect, which will result in peace, harmony, happiness, and universal brotherhood. What I want should not be confused with total inactivity. Life is what it is about. I want no track with death. I am not associating this stillness with death, he says. So do not confuse it. Do not confuse it with complete suspension of activity. It is only a temporary suspension of activity. Now, the next three lines are the reasons he gives for our misery in this world. He says that we are single minded, selfish, self centered, and that is the reason for our misery. If we were not so single minded, if we were not so selfish about keeping our lives moving, we are only thinking about our own lives. If we were not so selfish and for once could stop doing everything and introspect, perhaps, then maybe, if we were not so selfish, then maybe this introspection or huge silence, when the introspection will take place, this silence might interrupt this sadness, will remove the sadness. Perhaps this introspection will remove the sadness from our lives of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. It is because we do not understand or we do not introspect and we do not realize what we are doing. That is why we keep on threatening ourselves with death. Now, how are we threatening ourselves with death? By creating weapons of mass destruction. Are we not threatening ourselves with death? So, when we realize that whatever we are creating will lead to our doom, we'll stop creating it. So, this is what he means. Perhaps this huge silence might interrupt the sadness of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. Perhaps we have a great lesson that can be learned from the earth that we inherit or inhabit. Perhaps the earth can teach us as when everything seems dead and later proves to be alive. Perhaps we can learn a lot of things from the earth. Even the earth suspends all its activities temporarily during winter. During winter, everything seems dead. The soil seems devoid of any fertility. The landscape is completely barren. Symbolically, the earth suspends, stops all its activity, and later proves to be alive. But with the onset of the spring, everything comes back to life and makes the world a more beautiful and a better place to live in. So, the poet believes that he has been able to teach the people the importance of introspection, which will bring about a realization, in turn promoting love, peace, happiness, and universal brotherhood. So his work is done. He wanted to teach us about introspection. He wanted people to temporarily suspend their activities and introspect, which will bring about happiness. And so he says, since my job is done, I will count up to 12 and you keep quiet. In other words, you introspect. You introspect your actions. You introspect as to what you are doing is right or wrong. And then you will get the right, or you will understand what is the right thing for you to do. So now I will count up to 12 and you keep quiet and I will go. My job is over, so let me go. I will go, but you introspect. So that is the message of the poem. The message being, we need to introspect, and this introspection in turn will lead to universal brotherhood. It will lead to peace, happiness, and amity. So I hope you are clear with this poem. So thank you very much. We'll meet in the next video.